Okay, in this video, we're going to be discussing the illustrious pivot turn. Pivots in boxing are very important. So what is a pivot? A pivot scientifically is a central point in which an object oscillates or turns. Again, it's a central point in which an object oscillates or turns. So this video is going to be very foundational. And we're going to be discussing the basic pivot left and the pivot right. Pivoting from previous videos we've discussed, we posted, pivots are tied to footwork. So we want to make sure before we start pivoting left and right that our feet are aligned properly, because remember, feet come before the hands, not the hands before the feet. So feet come first. And what I mean by that is we want to make sure we're not going to start off talking about pivots with our lead foot behind our front foot and trying to make a turn, right? That's going to lead for disaster. So we're going to make sure first that our feet, our stance is staggered. Our weight distribution is about a 60-40 distribution between the rear leg and the front leg. So more weighted toward the back, and I'm down on my legs, knees are bent, elbows are in, hands in front. So when making it, we're going to go with a pivot left, and I'm going to be predominantly in an orthodox standpoint. I will show the Southpaw standpoint as well, but it doesn't really matter because the principles are exactly the same, and we should be have some equality in our basis of understanding pivots from both the right and left-handed standpoint. All right, so I'm going to be in my orthodox standpoint. Left foot's going to be in front. All right. So if a coach calls out pivot left, all right, stance is staggered. An easy way to remember this is this. So especially when you're learning, all right, so pivot left, I'm going to raise my left hand, okay? Left hand is raised. And I'm simply going to turn towards my left hand. That's a pivot left. I'm going to go again. Pivot left, raise my left hand. Turn toward my left hand. Pivot left, raise my left hand. I'm going to turn towards my left hand. One more time. Pivot left, raise my left hand, turn towards my left hand. Pivot. I went around 360 degrees on the pivot left. I want you to notice that each time I make that central turn, I want you to notice how my boxing stance remains staggered no matter which way I turn. That's important. When I make the left turn, pivot left, I turn on that central point. I don't over-rotate I'll go from this, I'll go from this standpoint. Pivot left, boom. I don't over-rotate where this leg comes all the way out. And now you see from the back here, my shoulders are square, which means that you can see both shoulders, right? Left and right. Compared to when I make the turn and I'm staggered with my stance, and now my stance is bladed. So now my lead shoulder is in front, my rear shoulder is behind me. So I appear smaller, I'm safer. And with this staggered stance positioning here, look, I can move forward, I can move backwards to the side very easily because my feet are in the right position. Remember, it's feet first before the hands. The feet is what puts you in position to land the punch. So no matter which way I go on that pivot left, turning left, that central point is the point of where my lead foot is. So that central point is on the ball essentially of my front foot when I'm pivoting left. So when I pivot left, this right here, this central point is what's turning me around to my left hand to make the pivot left. That's my central point. That's my central axis that I'm turning on. Notice I'm not doing this, just picking that leg up. I'm actually still staying down in my legs with that weight distribution, and I'm simply turning to my left. That's the central point. I turn left, just like so, remaining staggered. Okay, I'm going to pivot right. Now, from an orthodox standpoint, this is very important. When I make the pivot to my right, I have to make sure that I actually kind of drop down in my hips. I poke my butt out here. I go here to be able to make this turn to my right, because this rear leg is having to come all the way around to make the right turn. So I pivot right, I can raise my right hand, I drop down, and I turn around and I pivot to my right. Again, pivot right, raise my right hand, I drop down, I turn around to my right. Get here. Again, I pivot right, I drop, right hand's up, I'm pivoting to my right. One more time, pivot right, I drop down, I turn around, pivot to my right. So the pivot right is because you're having to make that turn. Again, the central point in which I'm turning, when I pivot right, I'm dropping. Boom. It's still on my lead foot. So that lead foot is going, I'm pivoting, I'm turning on the ball of that foot right here is making the right turn. Okay, it's making the right turn. So I drop and I'm pivoting around to the right, just like so. Pivot right, drop, right hand up. I'm pivoting to that side, I'm dropping around, making the turn. Pivot right, drop, up, boom, back around, right. One more time, pivot right, right hand goes up, I drop down, I pivot around, and I back pivot right. So it's an easy way that I've learned. Until you get it, you just know you're gonna pivot and turn to that hand, making sure that you're not over rotating or under rotating, making sure that when we do land out of the pivot, we're in our position to go forward or backwards. So I'll show it from a Southpaw perspective. The same premise applies. Nothing is different, except that my right foot is in front, my lead foot is behind me. Stance is still staggered, right? And if I'm Southpaw and they say pivot left, now from the pivot left on this standpoint, I'm gonna have to drop down here, raise my left hand, and pivot left. Boom. Good. Pivot left, I drop down, I can raise my left hand, turn around, pivot left, back on my line. Boom. I drop, pivot left, pivoting toward my left hand, drop down, pivoting left. One more time, pivot left, Southpaw, drop, hand up, turn, boom. Back to where I want to go. That's pivot left. I'm going to pivot right, stance is staggered, pivot right, raise my right hand. Central point is right here on the ball of the front foot. I pivot right, drop, hand up, pivot toward the right hand. Again, you see my stance. I didn't under rotate. I didn't over rotate. I stayed balanced. I can still go forward and backwards relatively easily. Pivot right, drop, hand up, turn around. Pivot right, drop, right hand up, pivot to the hand, back in position. So pivoting allows you to change your angle. It allows you to get to a different area of the ring. It may allow you to escape a strong offensive attack. It may allow you to set up your offensive attack. It may help you to be in a better defensive position. Pivots are basically just about changing the trajectory, changing the angle. What I was showing you guys on this basic video was basically doing 90-degree pivots, where I was making basically 4 turns. Again, this 4x4 box that I preached about from previous videos, this 4x4 quadrant of duct tape can literally have you with exceptional footwork. But I was doing 90 degree, this is 90 degrees, where I actually go from north to south here, and I make a full 90-degree turn. Now I'm going east to west, right? That's a 90-degree turn. This duct tape you see on the floor, it has an X here in the middle, right? And that X represents a 45-degree turn. So not as abrupt as a 90. So if I made a pivot left on a 45 degree, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just now making a smaller pivot. So now I'm creating a lane that I can still drive. Now I'm really going forward more northeast here, right? I'm going corner to corner here. Okay? If I go pivot right on a 45 degrees, I'm simply pivoting right, and I'm on a 45-degree trajectory this way. Now I'm going more north to west in my quadrant. So it allows me to take a smaller angle, which may just create a lane, which still can provide opportunity, can provide escape routes. There's so many things you can do on pivots, but that is just a smaller pivot, again, that's used in the same frame. When you're learning your pivots, you're learning the full 90 degree, and then you can cut it in half and put it at 45 degrees. But pivots are the kind of the second layer to our basic footworks of moving forward, backward, left, and right. Then you start incorporating your turns left and right. And again, as far as drills are concerned, simply do the same exact thing as before, as I mentioned on basic footwork drills. You maybe have 60 or 90 seconds on, and you're working on pivoting left. No punches. All in the quadrant. You may go pivot right, 90 seconds. Keeping it simple. All right, you may do drills where you punch then pivot. You may shoot the jab, pivot left. 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 Both directions. You can do it with dumbbells, with hand weights. Later on in other videos, we will be showing you more drills you can do with this, and in a learning format. But foundationally, this is how we do pivots left and right.